Yabada! Yeah!
Well, he is. He won't be after he knows.
Yeah, exactly.
Ruck up. You're headed to the war zone. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Yeah!
All stations, we are green to go. Stand by for deployment.
I'm going south promenade. You guys want to come?
Plunder. Secure as much cash as you can. You are green to get greedy.
Oh! My bad.
Strike ready for tasking.
Scared me. one goes south of the road and the other one goes north of the road, we can get a lot of money just going to the other end.
Enemy UAV is online.
Leave me alone.
Hey, who got you, Purple?
Enemy advanced UAV overhead.
Hey, bro, where you at?
You go north of the road and I'll go south.
Ah, you dead now. Yeah.
Fuck. How far away are you?
Vulnerable buy station marked. Head to the buy station before time runs out to get a discounted item. Enemy advanced UAV is active. Enemy deployed an advanced UAV. Buy station vulnerability exploited. Good work, team. Discount is applied.
Target area marked! You're cleared hot!
Catastrophe is en route.
Copy that. Longbow 3-1 is on station. Strike inbound.
Hostile UAV in the area. Enemy advanced UAV is active.
Flash. Good kill.
Enemy dropping into the AO.
Taking fire!
Shit! I'm down. I don't know where you got me from. Cover me.
Back on my feet! I'm good!
Hey, they just res by the two green buildings.
Damn. Fucker got all my money. Son bitch.
Vulnerable buy station detected. Proceed to the
Oh,
buy
man, we're
station
all
before
the way
time
into the
runs
side of
out
town
to
now.
receive a
That sucked.
discounted item.
Back to the hunt!
Alright, where to now? Over there, buy station? Watch the TV station over here. There's gotta be somebody on that roof. Oh, shocker, there isn't.
UAV available for tasking.
Need recon overhead!
Contract complete. You've earned a discount.
Mission timeline expired. UAV exiting the AO.
Enemy deployed an advanced UAV. Unprotected buy station detected. If you reach it in time, you'll receive a discount. Precision airstrike available.
Let's go, mate.
Buy station exploited. Nicely done. Your discount is applied. Roger. Extract bird is inbound for cash deposit. Bag set. Extract bird is standing by. Blood money. Enemy UAV overhead. Kill enemies, take their cash, get hunted. Extract helo is returning to base. UAV overhead. Copy. Extract helo is inbound now. Helo is standing by at the extract point. Secure all cash in the bag. Cargo's on board. Extract helo is RCB. The enemy is attempting to exfil. Move to intercept. All stations, enemy attack helo in the area. Target that bird and secure the cache. Vulnerable buy station marked. Head to the buy station before time runs out to get a discounted item. Contract complete. You've earned a discount. Solid copy. Bird is inbound for cash extraction. You've got a bird standing by at the extract point. Bag is set for deposit. Enemy counter UAV inbound. Objective failed. The enemy secured more cash.
he'll not do this or whatever. I think it's BS. I think Trump is just trying to find a trade casus belli so that he could cut off China and effectively implode their economy.
You know, I mean, China does have significant, you know, they rely on the U.S. for a lot as well, and they've got significant problems. They've got a lot of debt. They've got an aging, a significantly older population
So
than
do
the
we.
U.S. And pardon me?
We have all those things too.
Yeah, but I mean, China's got 1.5 billion people.
Do
We
they?
only have, well, a billion.
We don't know that.
Maybe. Or
One of the
they have way more than
Not
330
quite to that
million.
extreme.
one.
Didn't they end their one-child policy like
Yeah,
not
because
too
it wasn't
long
working
ago?
so well.
But there are reports that China's been lying about their population.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, but even still, they
Perhaps.
do have significantly more people than we do. You know.
Well, what's interesting is, like you said, 13.4% of American imports are from China. Conversely, 6.2% of American imports are from China, but 30 to 35% of Chinese exports are foreign invested enterprises. About 10% of that is American. Their GDP is tied to foreign invested enterprises.
Oh, and 10%.
30 to 35% of Chinese exports are tied to foreign invested enterprises. About 10% of that 30 to 35 is
Interesting.
and that's not even to account for we have influence.
This is really interesting actually because let's think about it practically.
Enemies are dropping into the area.
There's a company in the
Watch
United
your
States, and
side.
let's say they manufacture lipstick.
Playtime's over.
The toys and
Stand
video
by for
games.
deployment.
Let's see. They say that textiles, furniture, bedding, lamps, toys, games, sporting equipment, and other miscellaneous manufactured items amounted to half, 80.2 of U.S. imports for those that John recognizes. In the United States, if you're selling baseballs and Trump said 100% tariff on China, simple. You call up the company and you say, hey, baseballs, we need to ship an ASAP. We're cutting off China. In China, however,
Stay
those
alive.
factories walk in and say, you're on fire.
Okay.
That's why I don't think Trump backs off, because I think this is the plan. Trump-
Geronimo!
That's why he's 70 other countries are negotiating.
Ah, shit, there's bad guys all over.
And this tariff on China is basically
Oh, no.
their economy. Trump, I think
Enemy
he's coming in
soldier
and
incoming.
basically saying, we do not want a multipolar world. There will be one power on this planet, and it will be the United States. And Trump's not going to back down from that.
I mean, I suppose that could be the goal as far as economic power goes. There's going to be a lot of pain. I'm not sure. I don't know if Congress is going to allow this because technically,
What can they do about it?
Congress is who's supposed to actually enact tariffs and stuff like that.
Supply box is located.
He's doing it under a specific provision based on national emergencies.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. But Congress can get together and say, hey, this is not you don't have the authority. You know, I mean, whether or not you know you like that or people will like that, they might. You know,
I'm getting lit up!
I think there's like two
No!
Republican majority, and Thomas Massey doesn't like tariffs. So you know, I could easily see a couple vulnerable
Don't forget we got
Republicans
the-
saying, I don't want my
No!
And don't forget the DEI Republicans that want special permissions for women who will probably whatever they want.
Look, and this isn't saying
Target down.
Got to get away with that bulldog!
and we've talked about this. Like, you have to make deals because we have thin margins. We have
Marking the
very
rest of
thin
that squad on
majorities.
your tag
So
map.
talk about what we want Trump to do, but we have to remember in Congress, people vote. The voting majority, it's not big, and Republicans do not get in line the way Democrats do.
Hostile UAV in the area.
Well, I think, like Tim said, a lot of people are going to outsource to people. And also think, skirting of the system. I don't know how Trump's going to respond to it, but like, we just saw Apple.
All squad mates
flying
are in the safe zone.
5 planes full of
Gas
iPhones
inbound.
from India to skirt the tariffs. whole problem just wouldn't even exist if in the 1970s and 80s, when all of our corporations started moving to China, India, Indonesia, Bangladesh, whatever country it is, if we just said, all right, so you guys are moving there for slave labor, basically. You want to pay people 10 cents an hour to produce whatever you have.
Contract
job.
failed.
If we just said,
Objective
all right,
lost.
so let's implement a tariff on these countries that is counterweight
Enemy
to
UAV
whatever
is online.
labor cost is, but we didn't do that.
LDVR awaiting
should
target
put what-
data.
Yeah, exactly.
But now it is too late. And now we have the gun.
Well, what I would say is, like, I think you look back at the 1970s and 80s, it's like shoulda, woulda, coulda, but the reason we didn't do it is because we were afraid of protectionism. And, like, you know, I'm not like this huge raha protectionism guy, but I think that we shouldn't look at a problem that could have been solved with this exact
Enemy dropping into the AO.
procedure in the past and say, well, we shouldn't do it now because of the...
Time to fly 5 seconds.
Because that's what they did
Out.
in the 1970s and 80s, so...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen. I do think that Donald Trump is gonna stick to his guns. It's just my big concern, or most immediate concern, is will Congress allow this to happen? Because
Yes.
if people are going to be
got a loadout
voting
drop
against
inbound.
Donald Trump, and people are bummed if it has a massive effect on the economy,
mate's back
and
on
people are going to
station.
vote against
Good work.
Republicans in the midterms because
Fire
of it.
solution was
People
bad.
have a long
Missed.
memory, and if this sets the country into recession, people are going to be upset.
I don't think their memory's that long. They say that a month is an eternity in politics. So if Trump does everything he's doing now, and then starts changing the policies a year from now, and things start getting better, he wins. I think it's actually rather simple, in fact. This is why it was so important this is why it's so important they have the October surprise. You put out damaging information in September, ain't nobody gonna care come October. You want to get all the bad news out against your political opponent in October so that it's fresh in their minds. That's why Trump is taking these actions he's taking right now. It's as soon as he can do it, he does it, and he wants to make sure that as we go into next year, he's going to have some leeway. And if he makes some policies at that point begin to improve things, then people are going to vote Republican in the midterms. More importantly, the Republican Congress can come out and say, we turn things around,
getting
so
lit
vote
up.
for us. I will say on top of this, however, before we go to the next segment, we're screwed either way. Either we do it now, or the country implodes. Gen Z owns nothing, and they are unhappy. A new study came out purporting, they did a poll of 1,200, a representative sample of the country, 55% of left-of-center
Enemy soldier
individuals
incoming.
are in favor of assassinations and political violence. And this is overwhelming with the younger population who don't own
have
anything
reinforcements
and don't
inbound.
believe they have a path toward owning anything. And it is the older generation that is living longer and getting all of the political authority. So they're more likely to vote, so they get pandered to more often. The youth vote doesn't vote, so they're not getting it, but the youth vote is getting very angry.
Taking
And they live in
fire.
cardboard boxes. I'm being figured if they live in closets in bachelor apartments, and they can't afford to have families. A lot of guys are checking out, young men, and this means that our social system will implode. I wonder if
Your
Trump is
squad
considering
made it
this
to
as
the
he's
safe
making these
zone.
moves. I don't know. What I can
Gas
say is,
closing in.
let's jump to this tweet from our good friend Kyle Kalinske, who hates you. They hate the working class. They hate the American worker in general. They call you flyover states. And Kyle Kalinske posted this video, which is going viral, of factory workers. This is it. Let me play the video for you. Here's a fat, middle-aged guy sewing some shorts or some other shirt. Some fat, obese American women sewing things. Here's a guy making some bras. No! Some white people making phones. That's crazy. Make America great again, it says. And the left is laughing. They love it. There's another meme that they share where it's a guy in a MAGA hat wearing a ribbon that says "fell for it again," who says, wait a minute, there's a mistake. I thought I was going to own the factory and be rich, as Trump pumps a shotgun and says, sew the effing socks. This is what they think.
You're getting another chance.
The American workers who work in factories or who wish they could
squad
their
mate is
factories remain
redeployed.
open that were
Well
outsourced
done.
to foreign countries. The example that I've been citing consistently now is the My Pillow factory. You got a bunch of workers in the My Pillow factory.
Taking fire!
They're making socks and they're making pillows. And the American liberal is
active.
making fun of
Okay, I'm not dropping in there.
AI-generated memes
We've got
mocking
10
the
squads
idea that
active in the
Americans would
field.
want to work a job that pays well.
Well, I mean, I don't think that Americans would not want to work a job that pays well, but returning.
I don't know how he didn't kill
jobs.
you.
I mean, you were talking about this the other night.
Run
I don't
away!
think factory jobs.
Run away!
On this, this type of factory jobs are coming back.
Primary
to the US.
objective complete. All
When you were
targets
saying,
eliminated.
Good job. Good job.
Go get your revenge.
What specifically did I say?
Resurgence window is ending. Watch your six.
Re-onshoring jobs, and guess what? Who you're saying no.
Gen Z is not going to do these jobs because they have ego problems.
Only 25 left.
I don't
Keep
think
up the
boomers
good
They're
work.
already in the service industry, Gen Z.
I think it depends on where you're. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily true because Gen Z is overwhelmingly in the service industry.
You think Gen Z would work factory jobs like this?
Especially if it paid better.
I think the issue with Gen Z is
Soldier squad is outside
even
the
if
safe
you were to
zone.
work one of these jobs, your ability to buy a house, any kind of wealth building doesn't exist. I mean, it is largely wiped out. The challenge is if you're a boomer right now. And I know not all boomers are wealthy. We're here in Appalachia. But overwhelmingly, boomers own homes. I think, like, boomers all typically own their
Fire
house.
sales over.
They own about 60% of corporate equities, stocks, and mutual funds and things like this. Why are they going to sell it? So what happens is a Gen Z kid might get a job at this factory. Maybe it pays him $50,000, $60,000 a year. And then he says, okay, I've got some money. I want to buy some stocks. And the boomer's like, I ain't selling for that. I want more money. I don't need to sell.
Mark remaining operating from that
I'm
squad.
okay. I've got my
Hunt them
retirement.
down.
I don't need to sell to you.
I'm getting
And so
lit
that
up.
young person's like, even when I do have
what?
some leftover money, I can barely buy any stocks that move. So
Resurgence has been
Who's smoking
deactivated.
from where?
I think the
end
issue
game.
that we have is not necessarily all Gen Z
Oh,
problems.
man.
I think it's a spiritual problem. It's that what am I going to accomplish? Better yet, to quote The Simpsons, how are we going to catch up to the rest of the class by going slower than they are? I think there's going to be let's imagine that nothing changes right now. Everything that we're doing, we keep doing. Nobody has actually, I've not seen anybody talk about the impending wealth collapse and monetary collapse of the United States when boomers transfer their houses when they die, and millennials and older Gen Z inherit those homes. The value of those homes will drop by 70%. It's pretty
Enemy
simple.
UAV overhead.
Boomers all buy houses, and some of them actually have investment properties. I know not all boomers do.
No!
Like 90% of
Very
boomers own
fast.
homes. 70-something% of Gen X own homes. 50% of millennials own homes, and it's I think only a tiny fraction of Gen Z actually owns homes. A boomer owns, let's say they own one house, and that house is worth $700,000 because the price is they live in a suburban area outside of Chicago or something. They die. That house goes to their millennial kids, who say, I don't want to move to the suburbs of Chicago. I moved down to New York. Call an agent and say, sell the property. The agent says, okay, I'll put it on the market. Estimated value. The year is going to be able to buy that? Nope. How are they going to raise $140,000 right now on one of those houses?
Contract failed.
So then the agent says, we can't get the offers. So they say, okay, well then lower the price. What do you think we can get for it? And like, I don't know, we'll put it at no offer. No offer. Gen Z doesn't have money to put a down payment on a house. The median 401k retirement for a millennial right now, mind you, who's 40 years old,
Oh no!
$20,000.
You're almost done here.
So
Close.
close.
And Gen Z, they have something like 5,000. If they do even have one, I think only 30% actually do, and it's microscopic. So how are they? Look, millennials are 40 years old, and they can't, and only half of them own houses, and they have no retirement. The coming economic collapse is going to be worse than anybody imagines. The moment the boomers start dying off, and I mean that with no disrespect, but when they start aging out and passing on, and the properties and the equities and everything they hold transfer to the younger generation, that wealth is erased overnight because no one can buy it. And if there's no demand and no ability to buy it, the price is going to collapse.
Right. It reminds me of these practically ghost towns in Japan that are outside of the city because this is mostly because of their low birth rates. These older people die and they own homes outside of cities and they either don't have children to inherit them or the children they had, the one or two children they had, are not interested in owning those homes. And now they're just ghost towns, and a lot of Westerners are interested in buying those homes because they're incredibly cheap.
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
The solution is providing them jobs like this. I actually think a lot of Gen Zers will take jobs like this, especially the further out from the city you get. I also think there's a problem with not teaching Gen Zers fiscal responsibility, or now even younger kids. I have a lot of friends, I'm Gen Z, so I have a lot of friends who just have like either no job or like screw around jobs where they're not like actually real jobs. But if you provide them jobs like this, I mean, I'm from like the sticks in upstate New York on the Canadian border, and everybody wants to work up there. When I was in high school, everybody wanted to work on a farm when they're 14, like they're itching to work. And that's not the same for the cities, and the closer you get to the cities, it's not so much like this. But there are definitely Gen Zers, like I think a high number of them that would take factory jobs like this if you put the factories in the right spot.
There's another scenario.
What's that?
When the millennials inherit the homes and then put them on the market, BlackRock buys them up.
Right.
And then you will own nothing, and you will live in the pods, and you will eat the bugs.
You're talking about the factories being in the right places. The problem is Gen Z wants
We're
to
headed
live
to the
in
war zone. Get geared up. Stand by.
urban areas so they can have opportunities for consumption that are actually accessible to them, because obviously they don't have capital to buy homes to make investments. The only consumption accessible to them is basically DoorDash and streaming services. So they want to live in or near cities. So are the factories going to be in or near cities?
So I come from everyone.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. All stations, green light. We're deploying to the war zone.
They go and work in the mines, and they're happy to do that, and they love it because they're making good money, whatever. So you have to put them in places where culture is to work. And I think if you put the factories in those places, the town is not good. So, and it's not like a mine.
You know, I think the issue largely is that younger generations, starting with...
Where do you guys want to go?
To a smaller degree Gen X.
Plunder.
To a greater degree Millennials.
Cash is your primary objective
greater
here.
degree Gen Z.
Greed will get you a win.
They,
Mark a drop
older
point.
generation
Squad and hit the
continually
field.
treats the younger generation like
Contract line, let's take the fight here. Wanted contact here.
So whereas a 22-year-old man should be either running his own shop, or
Right in the heart of all the bullshit. Let's do it.
you know, like mid-level position, starting out his family, buying his first home, having kids. Today, in the news, in the media, in our culture, they will say a 22-year-old is a child. Like a 22-year-old, fully grown adult human being, they treat him like a child.
Getting lit up.
So
Eliminate enemies and secure supply caches
like how many
to get that
Gen Z
target off their
politicians are
back.
there?
I don't think a handful.
Oh,
People run for
who's that chick with the keffia?
Yeah, but she's not in. So, I
mean, is Jasmine
Plenty
Crockett?
who want to try.
Hostile
I
UAV
don't
in the
think
area.
she's
I'm
in.
not sure how old Jasmine Crockett
Enemy
is.
dropping
How many
into the AO.
millennials are there? A greater number now, but I would say massively delayed. And part of it is they say that when the
Oh no. Jasmine Crocker's a millennial.
170% increase in Gen Z lawmakers taking office as of 2023.
But what does that mean?
state reps.
Is that in,
I
is
don't
that state
know.
reps or is that in Congress?
And how many of them are communists?
Yeah.
Probably most.
A lot of them, I'd imagine. So, look, my view is when you see these stories of 30-year-old virgins, we had a movie that came out, what was it, 10, 15 years ago called The 40-Year-Old Virgin. And it was like, ha ha ha, how funny of this guy who like never had it happen for him. Now we have increasing reports that young men have isolated themselves and there's like early 30s virgin men. You know, and again, I remember that Seamus Coughlin said based at that story because he's thinking it from a religious perspective, and I'm like, bro.
No fucking way!
Only one.
Maxwell Frost from the Democrat from Florida's 10th congressional district. He was first elected in 2022 at the age of 25. He remains the only Gen Z member in the Congress.
To be fair, I mean, I think the
Your
oldest
squad
Gen
mate
Z is about
survived.
27.
Contract complete.
Yeah, I'm looking at the.
But I largely what I mean is industry is like the boomer generation is not letting go. And it's because they're living longer. People used to die and retire much earlier. Now the retirement age is getting pushed. People are living longer. I'm not saying this to disrespect you boomers, but boomers are not letting go of their wealth and property and assets. So millennials have accrued very little. Gen Z has accrued much less. And still, Gen Z and millennials look up to boomers who are past retirement age by now.
I think it also goes back to, like I said,
Enemy soldier incoming.
Yeah, well,
fiscal education.
Where'd you get smoke from, dude?
Another problem is like, they're like Gen Z have some degree of money. It's not a lot, right? But they're also not taking any of their money and investing it. They're not taking any of their money and doing anything with it over time because they're not taught to do that, which is a problem. Because if you start saving for retirement,
taking fire,
you're probably not going to be retiring at the age of 65, right?
Look, let me just round out this segment by saying millennials can't retire. There's no reality where a millennial retires. None. Me? Well, I don't know. Doing some kind of show to a bunch of other 80-year-olds going like, yeah, I was watching the news on the virtual thing today. And
I mean, we're already complaining about the kids, so we complain about the kids.
You're on my lawn again.
Yeah.
But look, man, when I pulled up the data today, because I was looking at the left, the youth left, overwhelmingly pro-violence, and I saw that the median 401k for a millennial is $15,000 to $20,000. I was like, all right, let's put that into wealth management with a historic return of 7%, where you can extract about 3%.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Principal. 3%. So you're gonna have a couple $600, or was it $600 a year? You're pulling 3%. You get $600. Good luck. 20,000. Wow.
Yeah.
You ain't going anywhere with that.
No, people are going to be working till forever.
$50 a month.
And
I got to tell you, it's going to be really weird. Although, one thing that could happen is a slingshot effect, where when the boomers start passing on, and millennials all start absorbing all of this wealth instantly all at once in a tidal wave, and they're all going to be probably 65 years old. Because, let's be real, I mean, people are living longer. Instantly overnight, they're going to...
I'm getting lit up!
And then they'll just hold
UAV
it, but then they're not long, for this mortal coil, and then it's going to be just wealth continually accrued by the older... The whole thing breaks.
Need to patch up!
Let's jump to this next story from NPR. Supreme Court backs Trump in controversial deportations case. The gist of the story is that Trump can deport these Tren de Aragua and whatever under the Alien Enemies Act.
Incoming!
However, anyone being deported must at least be able to get a habeas hearing, meaning they can challenge their detention, which is
back to the hunt.
Trump. Sure, you deport people, but good luck. You ain't deport 10 million people when all of them want a hearing. The court system will implode. And then Democrats have created a de facto second-class citizenship in this country. On top of that, Amy Coney Barrett has betrayed the right once again, siding with the liberals to say, no, Trump can't deport people.
Yeah, I mean, Amy Coney Barrett is not a reliable conservative. That's not, I mean, that's, obviously, that's one of the more obvious statements I think I've ever made. But people shouldn't expect anything less from her because she has a history of not being reliable. We were talking about this last night. The Democrats always, you can always figure out where they're going to come down. They almost never surprise anybody. Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, and sometimes Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, sometimes Gorsuch surprise them. And I really think it's because they're real judges as well as ideologues.
Remember when Amy Coney Barrett was the evil Wicked Witch of the West, though, and she was a Trump loyalist and wrote
Ann Coulter says, all the ladies, please stop voting for, electing, or nominating women for anything will you never learn. You know, I gotta be honest, why did Trump nominate Amy Coney Barrett? I think, like, wouldn't Cernovich and Posobiec both saying, like, uh-oh.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Trump's a boomer. Trump, I mean, when a lad asked Donald Trump, what is a woman? The responses that he gave were all the responses that you would expect someone that grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
He said someone who's much smarter than me.
Exactly. He was doing the whole, playing the, shucks, girls are powerful and blah, blah, blah. He was doing that, and it's because of his age. It's because of when he grew up.
Is he a feminist?
I think
Trump a feminist?
He absolutely is, yes. He is a second wave.
Hostile UAV in the area.
He's famous for appointing, I think, the first contract company. Very much continually puts women in positions of power. But
He should stop doing that.
I don't think.
well, so this is
You have to be a feminist.
but this is second wave feminism.
It is feminist.
You go back to when Trump was a kid, there were concerns about giving the vote to do what Trump did.
So you think that if
Good job. I should have.
Yes. Really? Yes. Look at first wave feminism. Women can vote. Second wave, women should be in the workplace and running the show. Third wave was when it got weird, intersectional
Women
stuff.
aren't women.
And now that's fourth. Now women aren't
Maybe
women.
fourth,
It's
yeah.
Fourth or fifth generation or whatever. I think it's fourth wave. Third wave was the intersectional weird.
Third wave was like all sex is rape.
Enemy squad
Third
marked
wave was
you as
women aren't
bounty
women.
target.
But the second wave was literally give women leadership roles, make them drill bosses, and Trump was one of the leaders of that. Don't brag about it. He was like, I
Enemy
think he's
counter
the
UAV
first person
inbound.
to
Taking fire!
skyscraper.
Fuck, man.
it's my intuition that Trump wants people to like him so much, he does things that he thinks people will like. I don't think that it's about ideology, or I don't think that it's about, oh, I'm a feminist and I believe in blah, blah, blah. I think if it's all about people will like me if I hire women because people want to see women in these positions. Not that Trump has any comment to it.
It's both, because that type of second wave feminist ideology was really ingrained into his generation.
Maybe.
Something you wouldn't
Let's
even second guess.
let's take a look at this Wikipedia page.
Back to the hunt!
Barbara Ress. Let's see. Let's go back real quick. She was the
Flight
first
rates have
woman
been
to
restocked.
oversee a
Load up.
major NYC construction site working with Trump. That's amazing.
Enemy dropping into the
She,
AR.
helped build Trump Tower between 80 and 84. Is that what that says? She was born with
Precision
the,
airstrike standing
what is
by.
the works here? Let's get the, where's that quote? Let's try and get the, I don't care about her book. Here you go. They just talk about this, blah, blah, blah. As Ress joined the Trump Organization in 1980 and then worked for Trump over the course of 18 years as a vice president, senior vice president, and executive vice president. Ress was hired by Trump to lead construction on Trump Tower. As vice president in charge of construction when she was 31 years old and helped build Trump Tower between 1980 and 1984. Ress was the first woman to oversee a major New York City construction site and worked with Trump on some of its biggest projects, including renovation of New York's Plaza Hotel. Now, how did she reward 2 decades of service helping Donald Trump build all of these things? She has spoken out publicly against Donald Trump, particularly about his treatment of women. Perfect. She released a memoir, Tower of Lies, what my 18 years of working with Trump reveals about him. Indeed. She apparently has gone on speaking publicly against Trump and his treatment of women in opinion articles in the New York Daily News, The Guardian, CNN, Rolling Stone, The New York Times, appearing on MSNBC. So that's Trump for you.
So what did she say? Did she say that Trump mistreated her?
She described... let's see, the Washington Post described how Ress's description of her experience with the Trump Organization offered
Enemy
support for Bob
advanced UAV
Woodward's
overhead.
book Fear. And at the time, blah, 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 both works described the president, a president whose orders are not always carried out by those around him. I don't know. She's unfit for office, whatever.
He also really liked promoting female entrepreneurs on The Apprentice, and he has a history of, being a...
I strongly feel like it's because he gets pats on the back.
He loves powerful Slavic women.
Look, like I said the other day, like I said before, he would if the Democrats had kissed his butt when he got into office in 2016, he would have switched sides in a second because he's a people pleaser. It's not that he has some kind
Enemies
of
are dropping
deep, or
into
at
the
least
area.
It's not
Watch
my
the
sense
sky.
that he has some kind of deep belief that women have been oppressed and he needs to do this and blah blah blah. It's about, if I do this, people will like me. So I don't consider. I mean, maybe you can call that feminism or whatever, but it's not like he's got some kind of ideological disposition towards it. It's just, how do I get people to pat me on the back and say good Trump?
I mean, an ideological disposition only insofar as he is a boomer, and all boomers have that almost all boomers have that ideological difference.
There was that one story. I can't remember exactly how it went, but he was at a meeting and like his lawyer walks in the room and it's this young busty woman or whatever, and the guys were like, they asked him something about if she was good at her job, and then he made a comment about her looks. I can't remember the exact story. Yeah, he said something like, I don't know, but look at her. You know what I mean? It's great. That's that. There you go. So
They say things like that back then.
I wonder if they thought by nominating Amy Coney Barrett, it would be an easier confirmation because she's a
kind
woman.
of a win with the religious right. Excited about paid with her.
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To her credit, she did.
But I think what's happened is over the past years, she's terrified. And, you know, some guy showed up to kill Kavanaugh. I think she's freaked out by it, and she doesn't want to. I think, you know, maybe she should resign right now. Then Trump can appoint somebody else.
I mean, look.
Like if you're scared and you don't want to do the job, resign.
If she resigned and gave Trump
Enemy advanced UAV
like
is active.
3 appointments, I'm all for it.
I think
Back to the hunt.
I think there's a strong possibility that she is scared because you look at how she overturned Roe v. She voted to overturn Roe v. Wade, and that was one of the most consequential rulings of our generation. And now she's with this ruling she did with the Supreme Court, she only backed half of their dissent. Like she's terrified to do anything meaningful at this point. She's just like, please just leave everything alone. Clearly she's
resigning wouldn't realistically
that
Trump would fill the vacancy.
Well, no.